Hey, Julian Franklin. Today I want to talk about a show called Set Sail. It's got to be one of my favorite shows to perform. I love the show Set Sail. In fact, my wife told me, Andrew, she's the one that you talk to if you call on the phone. She's the one who answers the phone most of the time. But Andrew said, oh, you got to get the puppet. You got to get Claudia out here. And when you're doing your video, you got to let them see the puppet. I use a puppet named Claudia, hippopotamus puppet. And she is the star of the show. Everybody loves Claudia. She's hilariously funny. But Claudia comes out in the show and she's got a story that she wants to talk about. So we talk a little bit about stories and we use some of the examples because I believe that the greatest treasure of all is the treasures that we find in the library. Not the gold and the silver in a pirate's chest, although I would love to find that gold and silver. But I'm talking about the gold and the silver that we can find in the library. Gold-winning books. We talk about Caldecott medals. We talk about Newbery medals and Newbery honors. And so we show some examples of some of these books that they're familiar with, by the way, and they say, oh wow, oh yeah, that's an award-winning book. And so we talk about how to find books. So for the younger kids, all of my shows have sort of a difference depending on as we go through the different levels from pre-K all the way up to 5th or 6th or 7th, or we've got shows all the way up to high school. But as we go through, the show's structure will change a little bit, the content will change a little bit depending on the audience. So for the younger kids, we talk about how to find a great book, how to find those wonderful treasures in the library. And for the older kids, we talk about what makes those books great. So it's about the writing process. What did these authors do that made these books win these awards? And it's simple stuff. You don't have to write long, boring sentences to be a great writer. In fact, the greatest sentences are sometimes the shortest sentences. It's all about thinking before you start writing. And so it's a great show about the writing process. And we actually get some real world experience. We talk about 5 very specific, very easy, very tangible, memorable tactics and strategies that the kids can use in their writing process, replacing very simple words with more interesting words, using similes and analogies and metaphors. We talk about using dialogue. We talk about showing instead of telling. Don't tell me that the king was angry. Instead, let me infer it. So we talk about inferring. We talk about just stomped his feet. He shook his fist. He slammed the door. You don't have to tell me he was so angry that he decided to slam the door. No. Short sentence. He slammed the door. We're going to know why. So anyway, we talk about all these. And of course, in the process, the children are getting to write these sentences in their head and with their voice, because I tell them writing does not look like this. Writing happens here before you start writing. This is how you share your writing. This is how you share your writing. But writing happens here first. And so that is what Set Sail is all about. It's about the writing process, about finding great books in the library, and it's about sharing your own great ideas through the use of language. Set Sail.